I've been a mechanic for over 35 years, and when it comes to engines, I can tell you I have seen some things. In this video, I'm going to take you through the worst of them. And the terrifying thing is, all of these engines can still have these problems even with the right maintenance. Basically, these are the engines you need to avoid. ReDriven is powered by WiperTech, more on those guys later, but in the meantime, scan that QR code. Let's start with a brand that, if you have any knowledge or interest in cars, you knew it was going to be on this list: Jaguar and Land Rover. Specifically the 2-litre diesel Ingenium engine. You'll find that in the Discovery 5, the Discovery Sport, Evoque, Range Rover Sport, Velar, Jag XE, Jag XF, and Jag E-Pace and F-Pace, up to about 2019. One of the problems they have is severe oil dilution. Now the problem here is carbon particles and unburnt fuel make their way past the piston rings and end up in the sump, and that just basically fills up the engine oil with a whole bunch of carbon and crud and just chokes the engine from the inside out, basically. Now, oil dilution isn't new, it's been around for years, but what hasn't been around for years is 25,000 kilometre service intervals. Diluted and filthy oil is terrible for engines and everything inside the engine, especially timing chains. And on these engines, it's a big problem. The timing chains stretch, the guides wear, the tensioners fail, and before you know it, at best, you've got an engine rattle. At worst, one of the timing chain components fails and you have a catastrophic engine failure. If you hear a rattle and you're lucky enough to fix it before the engine fails, well, the timing chain is inconveniently located at the back of the engine, and to access it, you have to take half the car apart basically and take the transmission out to access it. It's extremely time consuming and very expensive. It's so incredibly common, so obviously don't buy one. Next up, let's talk Ford, specifically the 1-litre 3-cylinder EcoBoost engine. This is one of the engines that gives the EcoBoost the EcoBoom reputation, unfortunately. The problem here with this engine, it has a wet belt for a timing belt. The timing belt is a rubber belt inside the engine with the hot engine oil. Now, you don't have to be a rubber scientist to know that hot engine oil and rubber do not mix, and in this case, it's a terrible outcome. The oil obviously softens the rubber and then the belt deteriorates and pieces of the belt just fall into the sump, sometimes tiny fragments, sometimes whole teeth off the belt, and they get sucked up into the engine oil pickup strainer and they block it. And that causes oil starvation. Now, fun fact, no oil means dead engine. Sometimes you might get lucky and see the engine oil light flickering and not ignore it. Other times you're completely unlucky and the belt fails, the camshaft and the crankshaft become out of phase and you have a catastrophic engine failure. Even with a decent service history, they still fail. The later 3-cylinder EcoBoost, well, they got half smart and they changed it to a timing chain, but they still have a wet belt running the oil pump and the balance shafts. You're less likely to have an instantaneous engine failure, but when that belt fails, you lose engine oil pressure. And if it does that, you might see the warning light come on, and if it does, you've got about 10, maybe 15 seconds of driving before that engine is complete scrap metal. Now, the last one of these I saw in the workshop, don't do what this owner did. They decided they would drive it to the mechanic to get it looked at. By the time it got here, it was completely dead. And on these, the repair and replacement cost is often as much as the car is worth, so absolutely to be avoided at all cost. Next up is an engine from Stellantis. Now, Stellantis have been guilty of plenty of crappy engines in the past, but this is their worst. It's the PureTech that you'll see in a bunch of Peugeots and Citroens. From 2012 to 2022 is the sweet spot, I guess you'd say. It's renowned for severe oil consumption and chronic PCV complications, but what it's most known for, it's another bloody wet belt. Basically, it's guilty of all of the wet belt issues I previously mentioned. Parts of the belt end up in the sump, blocks the pickup, low oil pressure, oil starvation, and basically you end up with another dead engine. It doesn't usually snap prematurely because they do actually have a service interval to renew these, which is fairly realistic. And the good news here is it is actually at the front of the engine, so it's not that hard to change. But if these things have missed a few services, it will absolutely cause your engine to fail. Now, what can be really scary, it can actually cause braking issues too. The vacuum pump on these engines that provides vacuum for their brake booster, it gets its lubrication from the engine oil system, and when pieces of the timing belt clog up the vacuum pump, basically it stops vacuuming like your ex-partner, and then you have no brakes. It has been part of a recall campaign in these vehicles for a while now, so check that out. Now there is actually a timing chain conversion kit for these engines, but I don't know why you would bother. You're just better off avoiding the whole thing in the first place. Now as a mechanic, one of the big traps we see with not just these engines, but all engines, is what some OEMs try to charge for parts. My hot tip to avoid this is scan the QR code or hit the link below. Then type in your rego and Automotive Superstore will show you the best parts and accessories for your car. Plus they ship Australia-wide. Check them out. Now next up, it's a Mazda. Yeah, I know, right? Who would have thought a Japanese manufacturer would be on this list? It's the 2.2 SkyActiv diesel. This engine is in CX-5, CX-8s, Mazda 6 and Mazda 3 from about 2012 to 2019. Look, there's a lot of common problems here, and I'll start with some of the less expensive and work my way up to the eye-watering ones. Now, a really common problem on these is the exhaust pressure sensor. That is likely to fail. Leaky injector seals are another very common problem on these, which cause oil dilution, and I'll loop back around to that in a second. The vacuum pump often fails, and then they have a myriad of EGR valve and EGR cooler complications. And they also have a unnecessarily complicated twin turbo setup, which is very much prone to failure and also eye-wateringly expensive. Now just back to the oil dilution, this is another case where the inside of the engine just sludges up, the oil pickup clogs up, and then there's no oil pressure, blah, blah. You've heard it all before. This is the last nail in the coffin for this genuinely shit engine. Now, while this video is about the worst engines, if you want 15% off and free express shipping on the best wiper blades, scan that QR code or hit the link below. Now, WiperTech are the only wiper blades we use because they're simply some of the best out there. Next up, it's another Ford. Now this one is going to break a few hearts and a few wallets. Surprise, surprise, it's another wet belt. We're talking about the 2-litre bi-turbo and the 2-litre single turbo, and you'll find that in Ford Ranger, Ford Everest, Ford Transit vans, typically from 2018 to 2026. Now I'm not talking about the 3.2-litre diesel nor the V6. They're not perfect either, but we'll cover those in another video. But they're nowhere near as bad as this. So what happens here? Look, it's basically the same as the others. The belt breaks and then you have varying degrees of engine damage following. Sometimes you just get valve damage, sometimes you get rocker arm damage, camshaft damage, and sometimes complete engine annihilation. Now Ford originally spec'd these belts to get changed at 240,000 kilometers. Look, in poorly maintained versions of these, they are failing as low as 100,000 kilometers. Now you might think changing a timing belt is no big deal. I mean, we do them in the workshop every other day, but in this engine, it's a little more complex. To do it properly, first you have to start with the right-hand drive shaft, and then you need to take the steering rack out, and then you need to take the sump off, because if you want to do it properly, you also have to do the oil pump drive belt, which is another wet belt. And then from then on, it's pretty much standard timing belt replacement procedure. I should also add that in taking the sump off and the timing cover off, well, they are not reusable. They are basically made of a material about as thick as fog. So when you take them off, they just completely come out of shape and you have to replace them. Now, because these engines were sold in massive numbers for years, they'll be keeping mechanics very busy for a very long time. I've been a mechanic for over 35 years, and when it comes to engines, next up, let's talk Ford. Forward. Next up is one of Stellantis' finest Stellantis? Next up, Stellantis. Now, there have been plenty of